Learners evolve from time to time. Because of the advent of technology and its impact to the lives of people, learners are continuously trying to fit with the changes brought by this modern era. They are more exposed to the current trends, which is the use of high technology in all facets. Education has changed and now has new features. According to George Neller, that education refers to any act or experience that has a formative effect on the mind, character, or physical ability of an individual. In its technical sense, education is the process by which society, through schools, colleges, universities, and other institutions, deliberately transmits its cultural heritage, its accumulated knowledge, values, and skills from one generation to another. Good day, everyone. Today, we will be learning the concepts on the moral development, whom theorized by a psychologist, Lawrence Kohlberg. How do humans develop morality? All we know that this question has fascinated parents, religious leaders, etc. But moral development has also become a hot button issue in psychology and education. American psychologist Lawrence Kohlberg developed one of the famous theories exploring some of the mentioned questions. But do you know who Lawrence Kohlberg is? Lawrence Kohlberg was for many years a professor at Harvard University. He became famous for his work there beginning in the early 1970s. He started as a developmental psychologist and then moved to the field of moral education. He was particularly well known for his theory of moral development, which he popularized through research studies conducted at Harvard's Center for Moral Education. His theory of moral development was dependent on the thinking of the Swiss psychologist Jean Piaget and the American philosopher John Dewey. He was also inspired by James Mark Baldwin. This man had emphasized that human beings develop philosophically and psychologically in a progressive fashion. Kohlberg believed and was able to demonstrate through studies that people progress in their moral reasoning, their basis for ethical behavior, through a series of stages. He believed that there were six identifiable stages which could be more generally classified into three levels. For level 1, pre-conventional morality. For level 1, pre-conventional morality. The pre-conventional level of moral development coincides approximately with the preschool period of life and with Piaget's pre-operational period of thinking. At this age of the child is still relatively self-centered and insensitive to the moral effects of actions on others. There are two stages under level 1. These are obedience and punishment, and individualism and exchange. For stage 1, obedience and punishment. The earliest stage of moral development is especially common in young children, but adults are also capable of expressing this type of reasoning. At this stage, children see rules as fixed and absolute. Obeying the rules is important because it is a means to avoid punishment. The first level of moral thinking is that generally found at the elementary school level. In the first stage of this level, people behave according to socially acceptable norms because they are told to do so. This obedience is compelled by the threat or application of punishment. The second stage of this level is characterized by a view that right behavior means acting in one's own best interests. Stage 2, individualism and exchange. At this stage of moral development, children account for individual points of view and judge actions based on how they serve individual needs. In the Heinz dilemma, children argued that the best course of action was the choice that best served Heinz's needs. Reciprocity is possible, but only if it serves one's own best interests. Kohlberg's theory of moral development in education. Lawrence Kohlberg modified and elaborated Piaget's work and laid the groundwork for the current debate within psychology on moral development. Consistent with Piaget, he proposed that children from ways of thinking through the experiences which include understanding of moral concepts such as justice, rights, equality, and human welfare. Understanding Kohlberg's theory of moral development can help you to better understand your students and help you to guide them in their moral development. Elementary age students will typically remain in stages 1 to 3. Some students may reach the higher stages of moral development more quickly than their peers. But you can introduce your students to different classroom activities designed to help strengthen their moral character or any stage. That is why it is very important as a teacher to understand the stages of moral development. This can help teachers to guide their students' moral development by setting a code of conduct within the four corners of the classroom to encourage good behavior. In the instructional and experiential levels of curriculum, teachers should always apply activities that would allow the students to learn, interact, and develop. The foundation of maturity comes from the very basic teachings. This means that teachers must perform varied roles in the classroom setting to make sure students learn best with values and discipline. In retrospect, teachers were authoritative in a sense that what is right is acceptable. In retrospect, teachers were authoritative in a sense that what is right is acceptable and wrong is not acceptable. Discipline was highlighted in the teaching and learning process before. Thus, this is one of the missing values that perhaps child mostly did not possess. Learning the moral development, especially in today's context, that we must teach young generation with proper decorum for them to create meaningful changes not only within them but also in the society they lived in. And that's would be all. I do hope that you're safe and healthy. So thank you so much and God bless us all.